Hi you all, my name is Natalie, the Satelier, and I'm sharing this space with you to share my life journey with my family, how I was able to conquer, overcome, and actually break all the family curses, to tell you the truth. In so many ways, with all my love and kindness, and have a successful life in so many ways. The space is a space to share for overcoming, surrendering, and staying in a state of love and kindness so that you can heal your soul and increase your inner vibration to bring harmony and love to yourself and overcome absolutely every difficulty, because if I have, you most certainly can. And I will share my journey with you. So, Natalie the Satelier, it was like I was placed in a family where I had to help them see all their downfalls and addictions of drug, alcohol, narcissism, poor behavior, and all in general. There's so many curses that I was able to break. And starting from my very early age, I had to overcome all of these till, well, recent. So we'll start from the beginning. So I was born in Regina, Saskatchewan. My family was from Belgium. They migrated from Belgium after the war, after the war, because my father stayed in Germany till 1957, doing the peacekeeping when Germany was divided in 4 sectors. After that, during the war, he met these wonderful soldiers from the prairies, Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba. And based on what he spoke to these soldiers, he fell in love with Canada. So after the war and after he was in Belgium, he decided to relocate to Manitoba, to the prairies in Canada, which was his life dream. So my father, my mother, and my older sister, they were all from Belgium, and they relocated to Regina, Saskatchewan, where the following year I was born. In 1968, and it was like I was placed in this family to trigger each of the family members to see if they could recognize their personal downfalls, to be able to bring love and resiliency to themselves, and in so many ways, I would bring up to their attention the things that I was seeing as I was growing up, yet they refused to make their own inner changes themselves. What I mean with that is that everybody knows their own downfalls, and everybody knows where they have to sort themselves out. And my strategy was very heartfelt, as I have a very close relationship with the Divine, the Holy Spirit. I'm very religious, by the way, and I had a close relationship with God my whole life, and so therefore my connection with Spirit was like throughout my life, and it was like telephone God and talk to God every day, and St. Michael. So anyhow, that made my life so much easier and more resilient, because I was able to walk through so many difficult times in a very loving and calming manner. So I was born into this family. My father he had major abandonment issues due to his father walking out of his mother when she was pregnant, and not marrying her, and just leaving them and going with somebody else, and his mother putting in place and at his grandmother's from his mother's side, where he was brought up. And so he had abandonment issues and a lot of personal, I guess, self-esteem. So he became a functional alcoholic most of his life, till the very end. And so that was my father. He was extraordinarily kind to me in so many ways. But my mother was a narcissist, full on. And not only she was a narcissist, but she was a sexual predator. She, in so many ways, as I was growing when I was a child, she just pretty much was very aggressive. She was very abusive. She was very angry with me, to the point where I, as a child, for no reason at all, I couldn't have a photo with her with my eyes open, because I couldn't look at her, because I felt like I was looking at something, like I was looking at the devil, to tell you the truth, straight in the eyes. So I had to close my eyes, and for a child that was like a very scary thing and very intimidating. And so to the point where I was so afraid of my mother compared to how my other sisters were feeling and they were treated. I was treated so different. It was like I didn't belong there, and she just hated me so much. And so what happened is that I was so scared of her, so I used to even wet the bed, because I was so scared of being around with her, even alone. So if I had a chance, I would just go away or go outside and not be around her. So just I'll tell you, and that was my mother. As I grew up, I recognized that she was a sexual predator in general. She just was, advocating to turn me into some kind of I was very pretty and very outgoing and very bright. I still am in many ways. But she was just advocating to turn me into some kind of a prostitute at a very early age. So just to give you an idea of my relationship with my mother, she was the most unkind, and she was cruel to the bone. She would just do awful things, like not only she made me feel unloved my whole life, but she was unkind, cruel, verbally abusive. She constantly wanted to kick me out of the house and tell me to go live on the streets. And at an early age, I discovered through one of my dad's drunken arguments with my mother while I was about to have my glass of milk, that she picked up the glass of milk and threw it across the wall, and my dad got so angry that he had a slip of the tongue, where he, in an outburst of anger, he said to my mother that to stop being so mean to me, and that she was awful. I don't want to say the swearing words, so we won't include them in the video, but she was most unkind. And so he also said that he was fully aware that she had taken insurance on me because she intended to harm me, to actually kill me, to tell you the truth, before I was 8. So to that point, I was very scared of my mother growing up. So by the time I turned 12, one beautiful summer, my dad was away ill, and while he was ill, he had stomach cancer, so he was in the hospital on severe medical treatment and whatnot. So he was pretty much out of commission for quite some time. And while he was away, because my dad was my protection in the household most of the time, my mother took me on a car ride that was supposed to be, we were getting a lift to go home. And so I didn't think any of it, so I just went along with it. But in the car ride on our way home, we took a detour, which was, I didn't know like what was happening, but I wasn't going to start anything, so I just went along with it. And I was in the gross discovery that my mother had made an arrangement with this older man in his 50s to my mother made arrangements with this man in the car to have this man give me oral sex while he masturbated while my mother was in the back seat. For me, that was the most traumatizing feeling I can't even express, because I cannot conceive. I'm a mother myself today. I have a son. I would never do such a harmful thing to my son or to anybody's child, because I just cannot conceive that idea how she did that. Or she wouldn't even consider doing such a horrible thing. But anyway, I was so traumatized my whole childhood with her. She was evil to the day she died. So after that happened, we went home, and I was just in tears, in prayers, and I scrubbed myself off like I couldn't believe what had just happened. Couldn't even conceive the whole circumstances of what had transpired in the car. It caught me so off guard. I was in so much shock, and I was only 12. So, to tell you the truth, it was heartbreaking, because it was not even a stranger. It was my own mother. So as you can see, I didn't have really anywhere else to go, because my father was a functional alcoholic in the hospital out of commission. My mother was, she was the devil, and she had the devil inside of her in so many ways, because I can't see how to justify her so low vibration personality and narcissist bully person. She bullied me, she controlled me, she drugged me so many times with, I can't even think of the name of it right now, but it doesn't matter. The drug name doesn't matter. It was the fact that she drugged me, and sometimes I was like in and out of it, and I just struggled. But I managed to keep praying, keep advocating with the Holy Spirit to keep my inner strength, and recognize that I was not at fault of the circumstances of what I was handed, but I was victimized by my own family. So later on in life, I just tried to go through the motions. So I kept in school, trying to be the happiest person I could by singing and dancing and running. I was the second fastest runner in school. And I played tennis. I was a very good tennis player at the time. And I just kept trying to find the wedges for me to keep my spirit and my happiness and my love and being grounded at the same time of keeping spirit, the Holy Spirit. And St. Michael's always in my heart to take me through the journey I was going through. To this point, then I, later on in life, after my dad came out of the hospital, he spent a couple of months out of commission. And my oldest sister, well, growing up, my oldest sister, she was just as evil as my mother in many ways. But she just wanted to diminish me in every possible way. She practically hated me. She didn't like anything that I do, how I look, how I talk, how I act, nothing. It was like, but it was like constantly, she wanted to be me in so many ways. It's like everything I did, she kind of tried to replicate it. She didn't do it on her own, but it was like, Like she was trying to be me the whole time, because I was free-spirited and I still managed to keep my inner light and love and kindness. And she just, her whole life, hated me, sabotaged me, stole from me. We'll get to that point a little later on. And my youngest sister, well, she had this complex of superiority, like she was the smartest thing, and trying to make me feel like I wasn't good enough or whatnot, which I didn't really care because I wasn't even competing with either one of them. I was just trying to stay focused with love and kindness and being the true version of myself and not let them bend me or break me, to stay strong. And how I did that was by every event that was so harmful to me in my life, what I did was I alchemized the pain. I took all the pain that they harmed me with, I converted into love, I released it, and I stayed in gratitude the whole time. And I do strongly believe that the Holy Spirit has given me so many. It was like I was his own mirror in some ways, trying to understand the sequence of all these people that were so low vibrational in my life that I was surrounded with. But I was from like a different source of kind of love or being, because I was nothing like them. I was kind and loving and caring and thoughtful, and I never started anything to harm or ill intentions for anyone, nor I ever even had a thought of it in any way. So my oldest sister just sabotaged me my whole life, was cruel to me in so many ways, and I just tried to forgive them all constantly, release them with love and kindness by alchemizing all the pain and keeping an open heart, a amazing relationship with the Holy Spirit the whole time, and Saint Michael. And my youngest sister, she sabotaged me too. It was like, not only she, growing up, she was always trying to make me feel like I wasn't bright enough or smart enough or this enough, but I did know that I was amazing in other ways. You know, not everybody is supposed to be a teacher or a lawyer or something. You know, she had that rigid way of thinking that, you know, you had to be that. No, I was like more free-spirited and more, I had a very open mind to what I was going to be doing in life. And she just was set like a fixated structure. And she just was always trying to control the conversation and try to convince me that I had to pretty much think the way she was. And I kept saying to her, you may like red, I like blue. It doesn't mean we can't be happy about it. We're different, but difference is good. But no, it was like always a competition and always angry feeling or diminishing feeling or sabotaging feeling. There was no kindness whatsoever coming out of any of those conversations or treatment. And her entire life she wanted to keep me at bay, she called it, keeping you at bay. Well, I feel that, you know, keeping a person at bay is so manipulative. You know, your manipulation and controlling is more like being a bully. You know, you don't get what you want, you just mistreat a person for no reason at all, out of being unkind and uncaring, and yet we're relatives. Like, she is my youngest sister. So, you know, growing up in my house, my family household, was very traumatizing. My father, even though he was an alcoholic, he was the kindest to me from all. He tried giving me strength and tried to teach me to fight back against my mother and my sisters in the way to stand up for myself. But also to not let them diminish me. But he only protected me in a certain years of my life, because that's when he was still healthy. When he was after the cancer operation, he was not as strong or as healthy anymore. So he just sort of, tried to protect me, but he wouldn't stand up for me anymore, because he couldn't fight my mother. My mother was so unkind, and so cruel and so mean and so evil. Evil is the only word I can use that in a nutshell compiles everything that she has done to me. So not only my mother has mistreated me my whole life, she intimidated, bullied me, scared me practically my whole childhood, to the point that I was wetting the bed. And then from that, when I grew up, reached my 12-year-old, she puts me in this / advocating to turn me into a prostitute, which I was just heartbroken. And when this all happened, I'm Canadian, and when this all happened, I was also in a foreign country. We were living at that time. I was born in Canada. We relocated in 1974 to Spain. And so really I was in a different country, so it's not like I could go to the services and say, hey Canada, look what this was happening. No, I was in a foreign country. I was underage. My family was dysfunctional to the core. So what I did is I just kept praying, alchemizing the pain by learning the lessons that they were given to me, these cruel, harsh lessons, and giving forgiveness and releasing the pain with love, alchemizing it so that I could be at peace with myself. And the Holy Spirit, I'm very religious, he was the thread that I always went to. And St. Michael, practically I spoke to him like a friend in real time wherever I was in the world. So there was always company with St. Michael. But going back to my mother, after the incident with that grotesque man, what she did to me, and my dad recovering from the hospital, my oldest sister married an electrician that was from Caracas, Venezuela. So she moved to Venezuela, and so her husband told my father that due to his illness, this and that, and not being able to do the work that he was doing in Spain to maintain the household, it would be so much easier for him to relocate to Caracas, Venezuela, because he would get more value and be better off starting a new business, and life would be so much more practical for him and more feasible. So my dad got on a plane, went to Caracas, Venezuela, stayed with my sister, and my mother listed the flat for sale where we were living, sold it faster than expected. So she was really excited. She felt, okay, everything got done. But then she realized that, okay, so for 2.5 months, we have no home, because the flat, they wanted to occupy it straight away. So what she did, my mother had a restaurant, a cantina restaurant, a Spanish restaurant, which she had a lease, and the lease was going to end around the same time that we needed to go. So she converted one of the back rooms into a bedroom for her. And she sent my youngest sister and myself to stay with this man that was a widower, and he had a daughter that we were friends with, that we knew, so we didn't think any of it. And he offered for us to stay with him while the 2.5 months, well, my mother, before we had to go all to Caracas, Venezuela, so my mother accepted. Well, we moved in, my youngest sister and I've been always getting up really early. I have my whole life I got up early, and I used to get up for my runs, or I would go for my bike rides early in the morning, and go play tennis early in the morning and stuff. So I used to always get up around 7 or a little before 7 my entire life. So while we were staying in that household, I couldn't even wake up. I would go to bed at 10:30, and I could not wake up. And so the first day I was late for school because I missed a couple of the first block of class. So I said to my boyfriend, from now on, I want you to come to the apartment every day and ring the doorbell till I come up to the balcony, and so that we can go together to school, to our classes. And so he did. He was very kind, and he put up with all of that to make sure that I was up every day. And I was quite happy about that, because I felt, okay, now I'm going to make sure that I don't miss my classes, and because I was finishing up the course, and I needed to get all my documents so that I could take them to Caracas, Venezuela, to go to the Polytechnique, the technical school there of business. So anyhow, one night I went to bed, and this person gave me a glass of hot milk with honey. And every day was a different drink, but that night was a glass of hot milk with honey. And I drank the milk, didn't think of anything, and went to bed. And then woke up in the middle of the night in a haze, and this man was on top of me, raping me, which it was traumatizing, because I couldn't move. I could open my eyes, I could see his face. I could feel the weight on me, but I couldn't move and I couldn't speak. And I felt like in this haze where I was going in and out of consciousness till I passed out. That morning, my boyfriend rang the doorbell till I got up. As promised, he did. He was very kind. And when I got up, I went to the balcony, and then I told him, give me 10-15 minutes. I took a shower and I scrubbed myself, came down to him, and I told him we need to miss class because we need to go to the hospital. And I did tell him what happened. He was furious. He wanted to start this big thing. And I said, I need to leave this country. I don't want to have to deal with the Spanish police. I don't want to have to deal with any of that stuff, because I want to leave and go with my father. I did tell him how evil my mother was. And the only way of forcing my mom, forcing her hand, from what I looked at, from the angles that I looked at, was not me bringing it up, but my boyfriend bringing it up. If you don't put Natalie on a flight to Caracas, Venezuela, I'm going to go and charge you for what you did with the person in the car, and for what you put her through now with this sexual predator rapist. Anyhow, I was lucky enough that that conversation with my mother triggered her enough she did put me on a flight from Alicante to London, Caracas, Venezuela. And gosh, by the time I landed and I saw Dad, I was so happy to see him. As soon as he put his arms around me, I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop crying because I couldn't even tell him everything my mother did to me. Because he wasn't healthy enough. He was still very vulnerable at that time. And he definitely was trying to find us a home in some kind of a business so that we can survive, because everything was sold. Everything was sold, and we needed to take action because he already was there for a month. And my sister is like, she didn't want him to leave the house because she kept getting all the money out of my father to pay her own bills. So I said to Dad, listen, I'm going to look for us for a plot, even if it's a temporary plot to move into, so that we can at least have our foot out the door out of her house and have a fresh start for ourselves, and then we look into the business and stuff. And so we did. But in the meantime, I never told my father of what my mother did because he was not fit, healthy enough, and he still drank. So it was either one thing or the other. But he was the least harmful from the bunch. My mother was evil. There's another way of calling it. She hated me. She hated me because I was like a mirror to her of all her downfalls or imperfections. She was so low vibrational. But the good thing was that I didn't let them break me in any way. I did not allow her to turn me into a prostitute because I never did. The good thing was that while I was in Spain, I went to school and I did pretty good in my schooling, and I also had, on my weekends, I had a really good job. I worked for a transnational company, and I got the job for the weekends doing the swimwear collection. I only have one set of photos. I was the opening and closing act for the swimline collection. Yes, I was very pretty at the time, and so I excelled, and I actually did enjoy it because I didn't have any issues with predators or anything, and I made good money, enjoyed myself, and was quite happy in itself the whole time while I was doing my modeling with them. And sorry, that's my dog. She's gonna keep company here. Anyhow, so the modeling job kept me on track. My school kept me on track. I kept myself in good spirit as a result because of those things, because I tried to keep myself always centered and always connected to the Holy Spirit, because I knew that I was not going to let my mother or my sisters or even my father break me, but I was there to learn the lessons of their, I would call it downfalls, that they needed to address, their own personal shadows that needed to be addressed. And to address them, they must be on their own free will. People can only fix their issues, personal issues, by having free will. You have free will, you work on them, you disconnect from everything that is harmful to reconfigure your thinking, to become a healthier physical and mental and spiritual, because without the Holy Spirit and St. Michael, and my, prayers, I would have not been able to pull through, because I had no one in the real world. It was all spiritual to keep me, happy or strong, or to help me through the process of all of it. So therefore, for me, the Spirit was very important, to keep the Holy Spirit in my life, my entire life. And going back to Caracas, Venezuela, we found the flat. I signed up in the Polytechnique. I went to executive secretary. I took a major in accounting and human resources, where I found that accounting for me is very natural. I'm very good at it. It's more, I'm like really good. I don't like to brag, but I'm really good at it. And then human resources, because I love being with people and I like helping them find their way in whatever they're good at by allowing opportunities and chances. And I'm very versatile in helping them find what works for them, because a lot of people don't seem to know what they're looking for. So for me, it was like the perfect course. It took me 3 years to finish it, which was great. In the meantime, I took a couple of jobs, and I worked at a jewelry store, which I really had a lot of fun there because I learned a lot. And it was, I was pretty good at it too. So I had a good salary, and then I had cash bonuses, and then I had, I worked at this hotel, the famous hotel, I'll tell you in a moment. But anyway, so I went to school, and I worked at this hotel, and my mother took all my paychecks, but she didn't know about the cash bonuses. So that money, because my mother was so so evil, I was planning this getaway my entire life. When I was small, I had a small car that my dad bought me, and I kept telling her I'm going to run away in my small blue car. I'll include a picture I have one in my book that is going to be included on later on in the system. But anyway, so my job was so good that I had my good salary, and one day I felt, okay, my mother's cashed in so many of my checks, the bonuses, I'm not going to touch them because I'm saving for my moving to Canada. So I was trying to save up for, at least 3 months rent, the down deposit, money to live with, and whatever else. So I was putting this money aside, and that money was like, God, I was not touching it. And that was my getaway. So I didn't touch a penny. I just saved and saved. But one paycheck, I took, figured, okay, I haven't stopped working. My mother takes all my money. So one day I went to this beautiful boutique, and I saw this beautiful blouse and skirt and shoes and belt. And I said, I really want it. So I figured, I bought it. And I took the rest of the pay, my wages, and I went home. When I got home and I gave my wages to my mother, she went ballistic. She hit me, she yelled at me, she swore at me. Anyway, she kicked me out of the house. And I kept telling her, I can return all the stuff that I bought and give you the money. Can you please not kick me out of the house? Because I was thinking, where am I going to go now? I'm in another foreign country that I have no services because I'm not in Canada. I'm a Canadian citizen, or, social service, something. No, Venezuela didn't have anything for a person in my situation. And I wasn't going to go into any kind of prostitution or, anything like that whatsoever in my entire life. So that was a no-go for me. So anyway, she refused. She said she was teaching me a lesson. She kicked me out of the house.